Hi, everyone, and good morning. My name is Lynn Chomitz, and I'm the Director for New Business Development with Classic Vacations. And today's Learning Lounge event, we've actually got a returning guest speaker, Amy Logan, who is our Senior Director for Online Platforms. So everything on the tech side, for the most part with your customer-facing website and all of the private label options has been created by Amy and her team. And so she's going to share a little bit more about private label and what it is. We do have a quick poll, so for those of you that are just joining us, please check a look at the poll. We're just gauging how many of you have already set up your private label and how many of you are joining us to learn today to take advantage of all these great resources. So with that, Amy, if you want to go ahead and share your screen. I don't see it just yet, but then we'll talk a little bit more about.
I am sharing. Okay.
Okay. Oops. Now we see it's coming. Perfect. Yep. So just in presentation mode, and then there you go.
Are we good?
Perfect. Yes. Okay, perfect. Great. So thank you, Amy, for joining us and sharing a little bit more on the technical side and helping answer questions and get everyone familiar with what Classic has to offer and just what private label is in general. So with that, I'll turn it right over to you.
Great. Thanks, Lynn. And good morning or good afternoon, everyone, wherever you're calling in from. I'm so glad to be here with you. And I'm glad to talk about private label because this is something, as Lynn said, my team has worked hard on over the years here at Classic. And if you don't know what it is, and if you're not using it yet, you're definitely in the right place. So just to start off, what is private label? You might have heard the term thrown around, but just to be clear, a private label is generally something that's manufactured or packaged for sale, and it's under the name of the retailer versus the name of the manufacturer. So that's kind of the technical definition, but in practice, you're probably more familiar with private label products than you know. Whether you shop at Whole Foods or Costco or Amazon, there are brands all over the place that have simply taken a product that is manufactured elsewhere and applied their label over the top of it. In fact, at Costco, there are all kinds of rumors about who the actual manufacturers are of their various wines or alcohol products. Same with Whole Foods. You know, everyone likes to speculate on, oh, who's the real maker of this? But in general, you've probably seen these products everywhere. And then, you know, you might ask yourself, what's the difference between a private label and a white label? There are some sort of technical distinctions having to do with, you know, who formulated it versus who made it when it comes to a physical product. But these days, and especially in the world of tech, we tend to use the two terms interchangeably. So if you hear private label or white label, and sometimes you'll even hear us at Classic kind of, you know, switch back and forth, but really it does mean the same thing. And what does it look like in the world of tech? So we're not talking about a physical product now. We're talking about a website or specifically a travel booking engine. So in this slide, I'm showing you, this is Norwegian Air. And as you can see on their website, they allow you to book not just a flight, but they also have a hotel and they also have car rental booking. Truthfully, behind this is, you know, Norwegian is not stocking all their own hotel inventory. They're not having contracts and serving it up to you. The back end of this is powered by, actually it's an Expedia product. So it's called Expedia Partner Services, and they are providing not only the inventory, but the templates for this. But you would never know because as you can see, it's all wrapped in the branding of Norwegian. There are lots of other airlines and hotels that use this same type of technology, whether it's Expedia Partner Services like the one I'm showing here. There are other providers out there as well that you've probably seen wrapped and used on several different websites. So today I want to talk about Classic's own private label solution and what it means for you. So in our case, we have a great website. We've got, you know, all the hotel content and photos. The site is mobile friendly. We have a current set of inventory. And if you think about it in terms of private label, we are sort of like the manufacturer. And you guys, the travel advisors, you are really the retailer in this case. So we're putting together a combination where you're able to take our website and apply your branding to it. So in this case, you can see we've got the classic site, and then over here, it's transformed into Amy's agency. So I'm not a real travel advisor, but I do have my own little logo, and you can see my photo and all of my contact information here. So imagine the power of this when you are putting yourself out there in front of your client. We've given you a way to look kind of instantly sharp and put together, and anything you send them will be completely branded and wrapped as you versus classic. So whether they're looking at it, a link that you've sent to their email, if they're looking on their laptop or if they're looking on their phone, it's always going to look very professional and it's going to showcase you up front every time. So here are some examples of some products that we have in use with the private label. First, our most popular product is the custom proposal tool. If you haven't used this, I'm not doing a demo on custom proposal, putting together a proposal today, but we do have tutorials on that. But you can see I've selected, in this case, 3 properties. These are part of our new Verbo property line that we're selling. So I've got three homes I've selected in Scottsdale. They all have private pools because let's say that was the client's requirement. I've placed them together here on a page. And now this is a link I can send directly to my client. It's got, again, my branding, my contact information. I could also include notes if I wanted to explain, what it was I liked about each property. The tool allows me to do that. But again, when it goes across, they can click on it on their phone and it looks completely professional with your branding and nothing about classic. And then if your client would like to click through for more details on that property, they can click the View Details link, which will take them through to the website where they can then peruse all the photos, all the content for the properties that you're recommending. Once they're on our website, the whole thing still continues to be wrapped in your branding. So your clients will always, they'll always be retained by you. They will never be switched over to Classic. So if the client is looking at it, they can't book. They are directed to call you for everything that they are looking at. And then if you are actually quoting a trip or sending an itinerary for something that has already been booked, you can do that using this tool as well. So if you're going through our booking engine and you're picking a property, you're picking a room category, and put it together into a quote for your client, you can send that off just as easily. And the same for a trip that has already been booked. You can send that off as a completed itinerary. The other thing I'd like to point out, I know there are other tools you guys can use to do these, some other third-party tools that create itineraries. If you're just trying to do something quick and simple, when you're working with Classic, this is a free tool to you. So it's something easy to try if you're interested in taking a look at it. And then one of our most powerful products with the private label comes along with our group bookings. And I'm showing here one of our custom group websites. This is a demo site created by Marjorie. And so Marjorie, if you're out there, I'm going to turn it over to you for a second just to talk about the benefits for groups. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, there's Marjorie.
Amy knows I'm extremely passionate about this tool, and and we launched this. Can you believe this, Amy? 2 years ago. 2 years ago, and we have over 600 active sites, and agents are having so much fun. The benefit of this is you're offering a free wedding site for your customer or a free group site for your customer. You get to put all the content in. You get to put all the pages in. And I always love to point out my favorite part is the About tab, because in today's craziness, as you're rebuilding your business, this also gives you a marketing tool to market to everyone in your group, because you have that about page that's about you and your business and what you do. So I do in fact, at 11 o'clock today, Pacific time, I show you how to build your website and take you through lots of insider tips, lots of what your peers have already created. There's been lots of great ideas out there. So I will put the link in the chat in case anybody wants to join me and learn how to build a custom group website. And I do this webinar every Tuesday and Friday. So when you're ready to build your webinar, when you're ready to build your website, we have this ready for you.
Thanks, Marjorie. And as you're talking, I've pulled up the full screen of that custom group website so everyone can get a closer look. And here's the about page that Marjorie was just talking about.
I don't see it here, so you can all I see is your PowerPoint. All I see is the slide.
Okay.
I'm not seeing your page.
Okay, let me switch over my sharing.
I'm going to put in the chat box the link to sign up for any Tuesday or Friday webinar on how to build your site. I can figure out how to do that. There we go, everybody.
Are you seeing it now?
There we go.
Great. So yeah, here's the site and here's the about page, and there's Marjorie. But as you guys can see, this is a really powerful tool when it comes to groups or any of the other products that we're offering at Classic. So we do have some great tutorials online in Classic Assist about that show you how to build your private label. But today, because we do have the time to do it, I'm actually going to walk you through the steps. You can see how easy it is. It really should take you 5 minutes or less if you haven't already set this up. So here I am. You can see I'm logged into Classic, and I'm going to go over here to our brand new menu. I'm going to scroll down here into the private label section. And from here on the private label page, everything I need is right at your fingertips. So in 3 easy steps, you could have this done. First off, you're going to want to upload your logo. And so when I click on this, you can see I've got my logo here. We have a recommended height so that it fits properly in the navigation. If you do choose to upload a logo that is taller than it is wide, the website will attempt to resize it, but it's not going to look as sharp. So our recommendation is either use your logo or maybe restructure your logo to be in the horizontal format. From here, you would just click Upload New Image. It browses out to your computer where you can grab that logo and upload it. The next thing that you can do, this is totally optional, you can upload a profile photo. So it's in the exact same way that I just mentioned, right here. Just mentioned for logos, you just choose your file. It browses out to your folder on your computer where you can grab a photo and upload it here. And it shows you in 3 different sizes how that will appear. And then you need to go in and update your contact information or choose how you want to be displayed. So this is an important distinction. At Classic, we have your account as a travel advisor, where we have your agency phone number, your official email address, all of the things we know about you in your account. That stays the same, but here we have a chance to change how you want to be displayed to your client. Maybe you're using a different email address on your private label site. Perhaps your address at Classic is your official email, and then your private label, you want to use something different like customer service at Amy's agency, or something more general. Or it could just be your same email address. It's up to you. So we show you your email address, and then you can choose whether you want it to display or not display by clicking the Hide or Display button. The same with your phone number. The default will be your agency phone number. Here, I've changed it to my cell phone number. So it just depends on what you want to put out there in front of your customers. You can edit the name. You can have your office address. If you have a physical address that you'd like to show, you can put that as well. And then you can even change how your name displays. So you can see here, mine says Amy Logan CV. This is my, because it's classic and it's a demo. We've seen people use this if they want to change it to, maybe you work with a partner, so it could be Amy and Sean. However you want your website to display, you can apply those changes here. And then finally, the last step that you'll need to take is the website settings. This is where you get to decide what will the URL be to your overall website with Classic, your private label site. You can see I've put in here Amy Demo. This could be just your name. It could be the name of your brand. Whatever it is, once you've created that URL will be active as soon as you submit it. So you could actually send that complete URL, classicvacations.com/TA/Amy Demo. You could send the whole thing to your clients. If you just wanted to give them, the ability to browse through content on our website. I will say, however, most advisors don't use that feature. That was the first thing we developed. It's been a few years, and that was the original idea for private label. But it's not turned out to be how travel advisors really use it in practice. Instead, the piece that is most familiar are those, or most popular are those custom proposals. But while we're here, if you were to share out the entire website, you could choose the star rating if you want to limit the hotels that people see, and you can choose whether or not you want your clients to see both classic hotels as well as our affiliate hotels. But again, most agents, this isn't the typical way of sharing, although you are required to create a URL before you can start using your private label. And from here, I'm going to show you how it looks for my custom proposals, because that is the most popular tool. So if I come here to custom proposals, you'll get to see a big list of all the proposals that I've created. Again, most of mine are for demos, but this is where you can really start to customize recommendations for individual clients. That's the one I was just showing, the Scottsdale home with private pools. And I'll go ahead and show you how you can share this. So let's assume that it's all done, it's good, and I'm ready to share. I'll just click the sharing link. And this will take me to a page that we call it our share UI. It gives you the ability to share a couple different ways. You can email it directly from here to your client by entering their email address. You could also create a PDF if you just want to download it and maybe email it as a PDF or even print it out if you like that. But right up here at the top, this is the most popular way to share, is to simply copy this link. So just click the button. You can see that it's copied. I'm going to switch over here to a new browser window so I can show you how this looks in client view. And here you go. This is my private label in action. We see it's now branded as Amy's Agency. There's no classic. The contact information is my contact information. And here are all the recommendations I have about Scottsdale homes with pools. The client, again, this is client view. They can click through to view hotel details. Now you can see I am basically on Classic's website, but it's still branded for me. And from here, the client can click through all the photos for either the Verbo property or a hotel, whatever it is that you're recommending, and they can see the price. However, you'll notice they are directed to call their travel advisor. So if you are wanting to share something, whether it's an individual hotel or a Verbo property, this is how you do it. This is how you give your clients access. Let's just go ahead and show you how to share individual property. Click on Atlantis. And then you'll notice at the top, there's this little share this page. So if I would like my client to see all the details for the Atlantis, instead of sending them the link, which requires travel agent sign-in, which of course your clients can't do, I can simply click Share this page. And this is going to bring up that Share UI that I mentioned before, where we're able to just simply copy the link and send it over to the client. The same process, copy the link. And then you'd be able to send it off to your client. So with that, Lynn, I'm going to stop sharing for just a minute and see if there are any questions or anything people would like me to go further into.
Yes, there's definitely a lot of questions, so you might need to share your screen in a minute, but I think I'll try to run through a few of the questions that you could just answer without the visual.
Okay.
So one question was, when you say customer booking, what do you mean by that? Like the customer actually making the booking, or are you talking about them just being able to see it and the travel agent makes it?
Correct. So through the private label, we allow you to share our entire website with your client, but typically there's an option which I'll show you. You can choose whether you want to allow customer booking or not. I don't even usually show it because it's just not a very popular choice. Again, it's something that we developed a long time ago before we knew how travel advisors would really use this product. So we usually recommend that you just leave the client booking feature off. And in that case, it will just direct your clients to call you for anything that they need. So by turning it off, you've completely turned the website into, I think of it like a cul-de-sac where they can browse, they can do, they can look at all the content, but they can't book, and they're directed to call you for anything that they need.
Okay, perfect. No, I think that's great that there is the option for both. So I think that's really helpful. So
there is, yeah.
And I think just as you were kind of, starting to introduce it, the private label website, it's for individual agents. Can you clarify how that works for people who are part of a host agency versus maybe a corporate agency?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, private label websites are perfect if you're part of a host agency, for example, because perhaps your host, you're using the same ARC number, the same IATA number, you're all under the same larger brand, but perhaps you've branded yourself in your own personal business differently. So maybe it's, Amy's Honeymoon Business, however you've branded, whatever your logo is, the private label website is actually tied to you as an agent. So it's your ARC, your email together equals your private label. So it is unique to you. In the case where maybe you're part of an agency where you all have the same branding or everyone needs to have the same logo, it's still individual to you. So we usually recommend that maybe the agency owner or manager shares out the logo to everyone and says, okay, all of you, when you set up your private label, make sure and do it like this. Use this logo. Either way, it is an individual thing. So the client, again, when they're viewing it in client mode, we attach them to you. There's actually a little number that you can't see. It's called your affiliate ID that is attached to your email and your private label. So once a client comes in, that affiliate ID is a cookie on their computer. They will be your client every time they come to Classic or come to a Classic URL. Okay,
perfect. And actually, you mentioned a key word that I just learned just in the last year or two is cookie. Can you explain a little bit more about how cookies work with the Classic site and what that means to your clients?
I'll try.
It's a tough one, but it's such a simple word, but it has a very different meaning in the tech world.
Yeah, so to do that, I'm actually going to share my screen again. Let me just go back and share this. So you guys, you maybe noticed, maybe didn't notice when I picked a new window when I shared this client view with you. So you see, this is the one that had the sharing link versus being in, I was just using my Chrome browser. So on this browser, I am logged in as the travel advisor. I know because I see my name. I've got my photo here. And if I were to try and paste in this link, let's just copy it again. If I were just to stay in my same browser session and paste this link in, it's a link intended to be shared with a client, but it's going to cause confusion in the cookies on my site because I'm logged in as an agent. This is why you noticed even in my demo, I popped over here to an incognito window and shared it here. You can see in the URL, maybe right there where it says affiliate ID, that's the number that I was saying is tied to me specifically. And that's the number that gets saved as a cookie in your browser session. So when your client comes and this affiliate ID is kind of associated with them, it's going to stick. So I don't know if it's a great explanation of a cookie, but every time they come back to a classic URL, we're going to go, oh, they're part of this affiliate, and we're going to show them this branding.
Perfect. No, I think that's a really good explanation. So thanks for sharing that. And, a couple other questions came up when they're sharing that. So when you do actually have the URL, the classicvacations.com/TA/ the custom URL they're creating, do you have recommendations on where they can place that?
Do you have a recommendation URL? Was that the question?
Yeah, sorry. Is there a recommendation with a custom URL of where they should place that? Do you find that agents are putting it in their signature line or on their website as a click-through, or how are you seeing them use it most often and where?
Yeah, that's a great question. As I was saying, when we first built this tool, we imagined that people would be putting it in their signature, right? We thought they would be putting it on their own website as perhaps like book here, here's my website and here's the link to book. So we thought it would be used like that, and it absolutely can. So you could just paste this entire URL wherever you want to drive people to either book on behalf of as your client, they could book on Classic. But as I was saying, we just haven't seen that to be a very common use case. So in fact, most travel advisors just simply disable this customer booking feature here. So you can see I've got it enabled. Most often people have it disabled so that they can share that URL and they can just feel confident that their client can browse around without running into any booking issues that the travel advisor most likely wants to handle.
Okay, and that's a kind of leading into another question. Even if the customer booking is disabled, when the clients see pricing. So for instance, that example you showed for a Verbo, one of the agents was asking, is the pricing the same? And then how do they stop the client from booking that Verbo on their own? Is there any advice on that?
Yeah, so that's kind of a packed question. I'm going to switch over here to the vacation rental section. Hang on a second. Oops. I think I'm leaving the state. So if I had turned off that customer booking, you just saw me disable it. I didn't actually save that change, but if I had a customer or client that was here on Classic and they were shopping around, they would be able to view all of the hotels, but they would not be able to view hotel pricing. They would not be able to search or price it out. So in a sense, it just becomes a content tool where they could, let's just go to Fiji. Your client could come in, look at hotels, look at all of this content, but they would not see the ability to shop or book or price. So if your client is looking for a hotel or a package, you're giving them the ability to kind of pre-shop and maybe get back to you and say, okay, yeah, I'm really interested in Kokomo Private Island. And then you say, great, let me price that out for you. On the Verbo side, however, it works a little bit differently. I'm going to switch back over here to our Verbo tool, which most of you probably know is new in the last about 3 months now. So with Verbo, we don't actually show the hotels without a search. So if whether you're signed in as an agent, as I am now, or you're in a client view mode, you could type in, let's do Palm Springs. type in whatever the destination is you're looking for. We can pick some dates. Another difference with the Verbo product, we allow you to book next day. So it's unlike the hotel product where it's 2-week booking window. The Verbo product is available the very next day, which has been very popular. So when I do the search, going a little slow here. Lynn, I think my hotel connection is starting to catch up with me here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. Well, we can, while it's loading, we can actually take a look because there's some other questions people are saying. When you're looking at the URL on, I think you're in Chrome right now, it still says classicvacations.com. So that is where they're going to see the private label kind of engine, but there's no way for the travel agents to override or hide that, correct?
Correct. We do not have the ability to mask the URL. So your client will see it start with Classic Vacations. So in a sense, if you're going back to our earlier, like the beginning of the discussion, like what is a private label, this is almost like if it said, like Jose Cuervo / Costco, it's sort of revealing who the manufacturer is as well as the retailer of the thing. It's something that we've wanted to do, but it causes all kinds of weird security issues when we hide or muck with the URL. So typically, it's not something that we're able to do in the private label. And and honestly, I think that's probably one of the reasons that people don't tend to share the URL as we had originally thought that they would when we built the product.
Okay. And then another question, is there a way to turn off the Verbo label? Because I saw like when you're setting up private label, you can turn off, 2-star or 3-star hotels. You can turn off certain. Can you turn off Verbo? Is that a feature?
We can't turn off Verbo. So if you've set your client loose on a private label version of the website, let me just switch over to this browser. So here I am in that private label version. If I'm in here browsing as a client, I can switch between hotels and vacation rentals or Verbo. So there's nothing to kind of to cut off this piece of it if your client wants to cross shop between them.
Perfect. So there was a couple other questions that people were asking, can you hide the pricing? I'll let you answer that while I kind of look for the next one.
Sure. For hotels, yes, you can hide the pricing. For vacation rentals, it shows the pricing, but again, it doesn't allow them to book. But that does bring up a question that I'm sure someone will ask, like immediately following that, is what is preventing the client from looking at the Verbo pricing on our site and then going over to Verbo and cross-shopping? We can't prevent that. That's just a reality of selling this product. And our prices for the Verbo offerings are slightly higher because we're covering the cost of commission.
Exactly. But for the hotel side, that is already including commission. And while it's not necessarily going to be a direct mirror of what they're finding on the hotel websites or other, we do have a price match feature that we can do on the FIT side. Yeah. But it's not going to necessarily reflect on that. So that's something that the travel agent will do on behalf of the client. But for Verbo and for Expedia inventory hotels, those cannot be price matched or adjusted. But I think that's something that, you can call our reservation center and they can help as well. So there's a lot of great information online, but I think the call center and the human element is definitely where it's going to make a big difference when you're trying to quote and shop online with your clients. Perfect. All right. So another question we had was, let's see, we don't the private label website. Someone was asking for custom proposals. So when they're looking at custom proposals, how would you compare this to like Axis or Travelify?
Right. So first of all, ours is free, as I mentioned. So I'll say that. I'll say that once more. Um, and our custom proposals, they pull in all of the content that we have for the various properties. Um, I'm I'm just going to go ahead and share again. Sorry that we're jumping back and forth here, but it's just easiest to see it here. Let me hop back over to my signed in version. Sorry about that. So we allow you not only to input different properties off of our site, but you can input your own custom content as well. So here's where this plays out. Let me go down here, custom proposals. And let's say I was, let me find one that has hotels and not Verbo. This one is a Big Island trip. So let me go over and edit this. So you can see I'm here in the proposal editor. I can add a name of this proposal. I can put dates in here. I can add notes to the client. My notes are just pretend, as you can see. And then I can add hotels in a couple of different ways. One, I could search here. So let's say I'm looking for a Fairmont. And let's just go ahead and choose this one. I can add the hotel this way to the proposal. So if you know exactly what you're looking for and you know, okay, I'm going to recommend these 4 hotels, boom, I'm going to search for them right here on the editor page. And then if I scroll down to my list, you can see here's the hotel I've just added. I can also add other features like a destination guide. You can see this one is called custom, and this is a hike I'm recommending. When I add a custom item, which is also here on the editing page, let's call this one, let's pretend this is a restaurant I'm recommending. I can add the description of this restaurant, and then I can also add an image. We have default images that you can use, or you can choose upload your own image. So if you're someone that's always taking pictures of your food and you want to showcase that knowledge to your client, you can also browse and choose an image that you've taken and upload it here to your proposal. And then the other thing that I always think is really fun when you're putting together your proposal, perhaps you don't know which hotels you're going to recommend and you want to browse a little bit too. Once I'm out here on my hotel site, on the hotel viewer, I can just simply click the heart from here and add it to the list that I've created, or I can create a new list. So how exactly does it compare to Access or Travefy? We don't allow you to import other itineraries. So if you have pieced together an itinerary from a few different places, we do not have a way for you to sort of suck all of those into one place. But we do allow you to do a pretty robust itinerary or proposal here using a combination of hotels. You could recommend tours, and then also your own custom content.
Perfect. Well, Amy, I was just going to ask real quick if you want to, for people that asked about pricing, and I know that's a question we get a lot for custom proposals, is they want to be able to take their search results with a package price and share that with photos and images. Mm-hmm. So I know you've kind of created a little bit of a workaround or something, because that's not just a click and play solution just yet. Yep. Can you share a little bit about what your suggestion is when it comes to pricing for FIT org groups?
Sure. Yes, so let's say for FIT, typically, because you can't just, with custom proposal, we've actually considered saying, all right, if I've selected this hotel, sure, throw a rate on there so that when you're proposing it, the client can see maybe the starting from rate. The problem with that is not everyone wants to sell the starting at rate. And it's very hard for us to know which rate are you really wanting to showcase. So right now the workaround we're using is just simply that you have one window open where you're working on your proposal, open another window and go through the booking engine, find the hotel that you want, pick the room that you want, and then just copy the price and paste it into the notes of the proposal. And we see advisors doing this all day long. It is actually a quite common use case. So we'll, you're going in, you're typing your notes, and then you might say whatever the room category name is, and then have the price that you've pulled from the booking engine. So really just kind of those two windows side by side to help you keep the pricing in there, but also make sure it's the pricing that you want to be recommending versus like the default rate.
Exactly. And we've had, different ways that we've used custom proposals on the classic side too, is when we go on a fam trip, is, all the hotels that we're going to cite and tour, we've actually put those links so people can follow along, and then they just click on link. And so the images that we have in the custom proposals, a lot of times are going to be better than images we take with our phone as we're touring around the property. So those are licensed images that are part of our hotel portfolio, so you're invited to use those. But I do think that the custom proposals and creating a library is also another best practice that some of our agents have done. Can you share a little bit more about how they can share that within their teams?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now I have to share again.
No, you don't have to, but I think just explaining where to find it is perfect.
Okay, sure. Sure. So Lynn just, mentioned the word library. I am going to share it because it's really neat. So not only do you have the proposals that you've created, but once you're in here, you can choose to share proposals within your own agency. So you could say, all right, maybe I'm the expert on the Big Island, someone else is the expert in all of Europe. And so you can decide that you want to make this available. Let's pick this one. Let's say I want to make this Greece ideas proposal. Perhaps I made it generic. I didn't make it for a specific client. I was putting together kind of my best of. I can click this button right here to share this proposal within my agency. And now when I save it, that proposal is going to be available to everyone that's working under the same IATA number as me over here at Agency Proposals. So if you have a coworker that's like, hey, can you tell me where would you send somebody in Greece? You're like, oh, you know what? I have a proposal for that. And just share it with your agency. And now anyone else, any of your coworkers can come in here and there you see it. They can preview it. They can take a copy of it and use it for a specific client. So it's a really, really great way to either build your own library of maybe most frequent requests that come in for your business, or you can help build the library for your agency overall.
That's perfect, because I think that's, after we come back from a fam trip back when we were traveling, people would just say, oh, what did you think of that hotel? And so again, rather than writing down all the facts and figures of how many rooms and how many categories, I would just put my personal notes and insight, and I could actually do it while we were talking. And then that was in the notes and comments, but then all the pictures. So I definitely think, and then if people had a question, I would just send them my whole custom proposal of all the hotels we saw, so they knew we saw it, and then my notes and comments in addition to the facts about the property itself. So
right, and you'll notice right here, this shared proposal is from Joy, and this is from a fam trip. So you can see it's fam 2019. We can actually take a peek at it here, so you can see her notes. So here's the property. Here's the rooms. Oh, look she went rum tasting. So it really is a nice way to showcase your own knowledge, or maybe things that you learn when you're on a trip, or just things that you've collected and would like to share with clients.
Perfect. No, I think that's good, and I think we've got time for a couple more questions. So. Somebody was talking about, insurance and commission protection, and then they didn't want clients to see that. So that's in the footer of that, but the header and the footer on the Classic Vacation site is not going to change with private label, correct?
It does in the groups world, but for the rest of the site, on the FIT side, it doesn't. So those things are still in there currently for the private label.
Okay, and that's actually a good segue to talk a little bit about custom proposals and the group's website. So Marjorie, I'm going to have you come back on real quick and just share a little bit more about how you use custom proposals for different parts of the group's process, and then also for like terms and conditions and insurance and what you advise clients. So share your screen if you like. If not, just kind of talk through it, and we'll send some follow-up details too on some of your training options.
Okay. I'm not going to share my screen because I'm not prepared. Sorry, but I do want to point out for the custom proposal, it is what I call it in the group side is a decision-making piece. So when you're at the beginning of working with a wedding couple and they've chosen 10 different properties, or you want to show them 10 different properties, you can pull just the property information into a custom proposal, put your little notes in, and that is a great way for them to kind of compare and contrast without sending them to different websites. And they're able to kind of look at the different properties. You can work with them to narrow it down. A lot of advisors in this crazy times right now are bringing their wedding couples or their group leaders on Zoom and using the custom proposal to take them through the different properties. So you can just scroll down, talk about the different properties. And another way one thing that I love about it is when you share the link with them, it can be interactive as well. Let's say you're talking on the phone, they're looking through the link, and then you come up with another property. You can just go into your proposal manager to add the property, they can refresh, and it's automatically there. It's a great interactive piece that you can work for. For groups, it really helps our group specialists because we're reaching out to the properties for every proposal for your groups because the group rates change, the concessions change, the promotions change. So for you to work with your customer, narrowing down those properties and using that custom proposal, it's a great process. And I have a lot of travel advisors that absolutely love doing it.
Perfect.
Is there anything else you wanted me to share?
No, I don't think so. There was another question someone was saying if you wanted to add or delete hotels. So when you're in that process, say you send them a proposal or a custom proposal for 5 different hotels, how immediate does that change happen if they've narrowed down their list to 3 hotels?
Immediate. You literally go to proposal, you can open up your edit, you delete, and then you can add that name and save, and they can refresh right then and there. It's that quick.
Perfect. So that same link is going to work, and with each of your updates, every time they visit that link, they're going to see your updates, correct?
Exactly. And it could be an ongoing communication with your customer as they're building, whether it's a group or whether it's an FIT, as they're building their itinerary. Maybe you are working with a customer and a hotel pops in your mind and you think, oh my God, this would be the perfect hotel when we're back in Europe, let's say, for their Europe itinerary in this city. So you can pop it in, send them a note, hey, refresh your custom, the link that I just sent you, and they'll be able to see it.
Perfect.
Along those lines, I'll just give you guys a little bit of insight. One of the most requested updates that we've had for private label is to actually make it for custom proposals is to make it a 2-way communication vehicle. So not only would you, the advisor, be able to put your comments in, but then like say your wedding couple could put their comments back into you. So you could be able to use it almost as like, maybe not this one, maybe this one. So in the future, we're looking at having it be kind of almost like a 2-way chat between the client and the travel advisor.
No, that'll be a great feature. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
A couple other questions, Amy. I know there's a few shortcuts and kind of tricks that you've talked about. Can you explain a little bit about incognito windows and how that helps the advisor versus, so can you talk a little bit about that and what that means?
Yeah, so you guys see me doing that because I'm trying to demonstrate here. So I'm on one side I'm showing you the logged in version. I'm logged in as a travel agent, but I also wanted to show you the client version. If you're trying to do that yourself, you will experience something that we call getting trapped in your own private label. So if you look at a private label link, so one of those sharing links that are meant for the client, um, that I will tell you most advisors do look at it before they send it. That will actually plant that affiliate cookie that we talked about in your browser. So now you're not going to see the ability to sign in. You'll be like, wait, why am I seeing my own brand? Why am I not seeing Classic? How do I sign in? So what happens when you do that, you've kind of confused the cookies is how I think about it in your browser. So the incognito window is a way to say, hey, ignore the cookie in this URL, ignore it completely. So it does just give you that ability to preview maybe a client sharing link versus being logged in. If you do find that you get, trapped in your own private label, there's a really simple escape hatch. Just scroll to the bottom of the page. At the bottom of every page, you'll see kind of a faint button that says Travel Advisor Sign In. Just click that button. It clears the cookies and allows you to sign in again.
Perfect. No, that's a great explanation. As soon as I saw that, it's funny. I feel like I'm just like the wizard to help people out, when they get that. So I'm like, oh, hold on, I have an escape hatch. I love that word.
Exactly. Yeah.
The other one was some of these URLs that we've got for, custom proposals and things. I know there's some different URL shortener tricks. So can you share some of your favorite URL shorteners that it kind of takes that long custom URL out of the sharing tool?
Sure. I mean, there are URL shorteners that you can use out there. I think just the easiest way to do it is like, let's say you're typing up an email, right? And you say, here, take a look at this link. You can just highlight that, right click in your email tool, and it'll say insert link or insert hyperlink. And you can bring that up and then you paste the link, that long sharing link. So when your client views the email or they look at it on their phone, all they see is view this link, and that'll be highlighted and they can click directly on that. We find that's a very easy, simple way for travel advisors and for the clients.
Okay, no, that's perfect. I've actually started using bit.ly, bit.ly, Google, goo.gl. And so it's just so easy to have another window open and cut and paste, and it creates this really short code, especially for social media, because in email, I think embedding that URL inside a link inside the text is very easy, but on social media, even on our Classic community, sometimes those links are really long, whether it's, custom proposal or something. So those I think are shortened. So if you know of any others, for those attendees, let us know which other ones you use. They're usually free, but I think it's nice, and you can even track and get some analytics on.
Yeah, using Bitly is really great. And you also make another good point that custom proposals are perfect for social media. So again, you can take something that was designed to be a selling tool and turn it into more of a marketing vehicle for yourself. So imagine you're on that fam trip that Lynn was talking about. You've taken all of your notes, and now when you come back, instead of just saying like, hey, just back from Kokomo, private island, you can actually post the list of places that you saw and have it out to your friends and followers as like, oh, hey, if you're interested, here are some of the things I've learned. So it becomes a really, really great marketing vehicle. And of course, using private label, it's all branded for you ahead of time.
Perfect. Well, I think we'll wrap up here real soon. So I think you've got, some great information, some great resources. For those of you that have not yet set up your private label, I think we did a quick poll. We only had about 50 votes, even though we've had more people on the call, but 75% said no, they hadn't set up their private label. So I encourage you to go to the No Zone, which is classicvacations.com/no zone, KNOW-zone, ZONE, and you'll see some of our website tutorials. So there it'll show how to create a custom proposal, but how to get started and set up your private label. So all of these short little tutorial videos Amy's created. So I invite you to take a look at those. If you do run into issues, we do have a web support team that would be able to help, take a look, make sure it's set up okay. Or you can also reach out to your strategic account manager or Chase and myself from the new business team. We'd be happy to help walk you through all of that as well. So thank you all for joining us. I think we've got a lot covered in a very short amount of time, but the potential, I think, for the private label options, primarily for the custom proposal tools, as well as the sharing your custom URL, and would be fantastic. So give it a try if you haven't already. I think there's definitely some more advantages coming through, hopefully when we get some more enhancements to those private label options. But feel free to take a test run with those and hopefully start sharing on social media or sending out to your clients to try and close more of those bookings. So with that, thank you, Amy. Again, I hope you enjoy your time in Mexico. So you didn't reveal where you were, but I'm just so jealous that that's where you are. So
it is true. I am here. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. And thank you, Paul and Marjorie and Chase, for joining us as well. There was a lot of questions, so I will go through and clean up all of the questions in the chat. We usually have our follow-up email we send out every Friday, and then we do have our recording YouTube playlist for all of our past recordings. So if you do need to go back and watch this again or check out some of the resources, feel free to take a look there. It's just classicvacations.com/learning lounge, and you can view the playlist for all of our, I think we've had 25 plus learning lounge events now. So perfect. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great afternoon, and we will see you next week.